Kate, out on Netflix. Now, bear with me, the poster is terrible and the title is even worse, but don't cross the film out just yet. It stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Woody Harrelson and is an action film that feels like a blend of The Professional, Kill Bill, Atomic Blonde and John Wick, from which it even steals a couple of shots pretty directly. There is an even more apt comparison, though, to Gunpowder Milkshake, the movie starring Karen Gillan, which came out just weeks ago. In fact, if you look at the premise, both films are nearly identical. Female assassin fails a job and is on the run from some very powerful people who try to kill her. She wants to survive and get revenge, and circumstances force her to team up with a young girl whose father she previously killed. That description is literally true for both movies. The main differences are the setting, previously US, now Tokyo, the age of the sidekick, previously little girl, now a teenager, and the fact that Kate is only out for revenge. Survival is a foregone conclusion, because at the beginning of the film she realizes she's been poisoned with polonium and she won't make it through the night no matter what. The rest is nearly identical, which makes it pretty interesting that Gunpowder Milkshake looked very promising initially, I thought, and turned out to be a massive disappointment, whereas Kate didn't really promise anything and ended up being a really solid movie. So where's the difference? What works here that didn't work in Gunpowder Milkshake? Well, I think if you go one by one, each of the elements of the film is simply better executed here. First of all, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is very convincing as the assassin, much more so than Karen Gillan was, which is surprising seeing as how excellent she was at playing Nebula in Marvel films. Winstead inhabits her character, the character of Kate, and really sells not just her badass moments, but also the vulnerabilities that come with the poisoning, as well as some small touches that make her human, like this running joke about her trying to get her hands on a specific Japanese orange soda. It has amazing payoff, by the way, towards the end. I think what helps sell her as a seasoned assassin as well is mainly the action, which is very competent and unexpectedly brutal. There is a sequence at a traditional Japanese mansion which is just properly nasty in terms of the violence. Some of the stuff that Kate does to her opponents made me think of Kill Bill. And on the other hand, similarly to John Wick, she's not untouchable. She, over the course of the film, she also suffers injuries and damage, and it shows in the way she moves and breathes and so on. And yes, she is a deadly assassin, so she still has an advantage of sorts, but you get the sense that she is still very much in real danger at all times. Speaking of action as well, there is this really great katana duel towards the end of the film that really, really impressed me, because I expected something completely different, something much more cheap and stupid and easy, and yet that moment was extremely satisfying. Then there's the plot, which is actually pretty smart for the most part and uses its simplicity to its advantage. Doesn't necessarily convolute the story, add characters, add subplots. No, it's simple. The stakes are known, the characters are mostly known, and there we go. The most interesting thing is Woody Harrelson's character, because you expect him to be something else than he ends up being. And I think that change, that surprise, was very smart and refreshing as well, and made perfect sense in the context of this world. And the world of the film is quite amazing as well. Neon-drenched streets of Tokyo at nights intertwined with sequences at mansions and penthouses, which contrast by the wealth and comfort they offer. The movie overall really lets its locations breathe and pulls you into them, and that's something I tend to enjoy as well. Now, it's not a perfect film. Some action sequences would benefit from less cuts and wider shots. There is a car chase at the beginning of the film which I thought was a bit wonky, and the third act hinges on the fact that Kate at one point doesn't kill a certain someone who later proves to be more important than we thought. But when you think about it, there was no reason at the time to let that person live, other than plot armor. But still, even with these tiny flaws, I think Kate is very good at what it's trying to do, which is to be a brutal, action-packed revenge flick with nighttime Tokyo as its backdrop. Do give it a chance.